Welcome back, MTG Joe here, and today we are going to be looking at a deck tech for the new set, and Innistrad Crimson Vow. It is kind of the second part of the Innistrad set, and it is coming out on Thursday. So as always with these deck techs, they're just kind of high level, something I want to try out on day one, and some of the cards that I'm interested in. We're going to have to play test these. Obviously, these are subject to change, but I'll have a bunch of videos out on Thursday when the set releases, so we can see if these actually play as well as they look. So the first deck up is a blue-white control deck that's playing the win con of Faithful Judge. This is a card that I'm really interested to see how it plays out here. So it's a flip card. Front side, it is 3 mana. It is a 4/4 Defender Flying Vigilance. On your upkeep, if it doesn't have a Judgment counter, you get to, or if you have 2 or fewer, you can put a counter. If it has 3 or more, it can start attacking. So its front side in itself blocks early against the aggressive decks, and then over time can allow you to have an aggressive kind of way to close out the game very quickly. And then when it dies, you have the option to curse your opponent. And really the way I want to win games is Sinner's Judgment. You enchant a player, and then at the beginning of their upkeep, they put a Judgment counter on it, and then if they have 3 or more, they lose the game. So kind of another alternative win con. So how are we kind of pulling together the deck? So there have been some of these decks before with blue-white. What we're going to try to do here is play a bit of counter magic, a bit of tempo, and a bit of just like removal to kind of pair it all together. So in terms of counter spells, we have Syncopate, which is being reprinted. This is a way to scale up between the early game and late game. It also exiles, which is really relevant with all this graveyard kind of effects. So we're playing 2 of Syncopates, 3 Jawaris just as lands and counters, and then I wanted to go with a split of Divide by 0 for kind of bounce effect with a learn board, as well as some copies of Saw It Coming. In terms of speaking of removal or bounce, we have some Fading Hopes to pair up with the Divide by 0. We have Fateful Absence as a way to just have some more targeted removal. We do give them the token, but I think it's worthwhile. And then we have a full playset of Doomscar as our removal. Because we are playing with permanent base removal, we're not going with Overwhelming Splendor as a way to blow up all the permanents, because it would blow up our win conditions as well. That'll be something we have to play and see if it actually makes sense. We might still need it, but we'll go from there. The rest of the deck kind of piecing it together. We have Faithful Mending. So gain 2, draw 2, then discard 2. Now our main win condition, it's fine if it's in the graveyard because we want to cast it from the graveyard anyways. So we can kind of get rid of the stuff in the matchups that don't make sense. So especially in best of 1, we're going to try this out. If you look at something like against mono white, you don't really want counter spells, you want removal. So this will let you dump your counter spells, go find removal. On the same account, if you're playing against, say, Epiphany, you can get rid of your Doomscars and go find your counterspells, stuff like that. It can also be flashed back, so you can discard duplicate copies, and it just offsets your life total at 2 life a turn. We have some Sunset Revelries. This is a card I generally like as a 1 to 2 of in the main board. It can gain you life, can get you blockers, and it can draw you cards, all things that you'd be interested in this type of deck. We're also playing Solstice. The Solstice, 3 mana, ramps us up ahead, so it's a way to get closer to 7 mana, or even just allow us to hard cast the Doomscar on turn 4 if we don't have it foretold. It gains us some life, and again, just helps us filter through our deck as needed. The Solstice also plays well with Teferi, who slows the sunset. We get to untap an artifact, creature, permanent, or land, and we also get to gain some life. So we can do that. We can untap the Solstice, gets us an extra mana when we do. You'll also notice in our mana base we have a Treasure Vault, which we'll get to in a sec. You can target the Treasure Vault being an artifact and then a land, so it's another way to kind of untap that. Card advantage and then an emblem. Sometimes you'll see this with the Strixhaven Stadium, but I like this because it provides color mana, and I think the life gain is more than enough. We're not going to win with the Stadium. We're going to win with like our curses. We have Memory Deluge, a couple copies just as card advantage, just ways to get specific combo pieces. And then another card I'm interested in trying out is the Hull Breacher Horror. I think this card's going to be really good, specifically in sideboards, but we'll see if it makes main decks want to play and see. It is a 7 mana, 7/8 flash, can't be countered, and then whenever you cast the spell, you can either divide by 0 that spell, or you could return non-land permanent to its owner's hand. The second line of text, you can actually return the Hullbreaker to your hand. So kind of an interesting way there. So when we get into these control mirrors, this is a quick way to close out games. This way is a little bit slower, but we have that as an option. In terms of the mana base itself, we have 24 normal lands, including the 3 Jawari, so 27 total lands in the deck, which for a control deck, that's generally where you want to be, 26 to 28. Full 4 playset of Field of Ruin. We want to destroy creature lands in this deck. We have sweepers to go wide, but we want to get rid of your Faceless Havens, stuff like that. A couple Hall of the Storm Giants as another win condition, just a good way to close out the game. Some basics, you have your pathways, you have your slow lands, and like I mentioned, the Treasure Vault. It is an artifact land, so we're not really playing it for its secondary ability, but we're playing it with Teferi to just get another untapped. This might be a little bit more win more, and we might want to try it out to see. It would result in us having 5 colorless lands, so it might be something that ends up hurting our mana base more than it being beneficial. So this is something we'll try out, see how it plays out, and then we can always revisit it afterwards. So this is kind of the thought I had to start off with. There is different ways to take it. You can get rid of all the counter spells if you want, play full 4 of Divide by 0, full 4 of Fading Hope, and then play some Alrund's Epiphanies if you want. You can go with like the Overwhelming Splendor, or whatever the 8 mana student cost blow up everything is. You can go with Lier. That was another card I was considering. So there's some options to how you can play this out. I think this is where I'm going to start, and then we can play different things here and there. But really, I want to get a judge with this card here, Faithful Judge. I think this card is super reasonable. Just being like a solid wall that can pivot pretty quick after a couple turns. There's ways even with the Fading Hope or the Divide by 0 to bounce your own Faithful Judge if you want to sweep. So there's like those interactions there. Something to try out, see how it goes. So that's the deck. Let me know what you think, if you build it different, if I missed out any on the new cards, and what decks you'd like to see built next. I'll slowly get through some of these, but on Thursday we'll play a bunch of decks once we have the cards in our client. But if you'd like to see those decks in action, make sure to drop a sub. It is free on YouTube, lets you know when I go live with any new videos. And if you can, drop a like and a comment, helps grows the channel. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you have a great one and stay safe out there.